Welcome to the Shakaama live show. I'm doing a really brief little series and I wanted to make this video brief. This is the first in a series and I'm going to blow you away on the very last video in this series. These are all going to be really quick videos. I'm hoping. I'm talking about black plus feminism. And really this video is to respond to a lot of the videos that we have online from black females. Normally the chief organizers or the people who produce these videos are the liberal black women at universities. They got a degree and they are shaping the futures of our black daughters, our black women. And it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. They need to be fired. We need to actively actively investigate where we're sending our children to and what they're going to be learning. And we don't need to send our black daughters to some university that thinks that they know and understand what is going on, especially when it comes to feminism. Feminism, and this very first video is simply the definition of what feminism is. I will get to the how it applies to black women, or how it really does not apply to black women in the later videos. Okay, first of all, feminism is nothing more than a tool that is used to exploit women. What do I mean by that? Feminism, there was women's suffrage, which was a long time ago. This was in the 1800s. That they're revising history and trying to go back and trying to piggyback onto that movement and call those people feminists. They were never feminists. All they wanted to do was to get women to vote. Now I'm going to briefly tell you how we see now. We're looking back and they have revised the history of that movement also to make it appear something that it is not. Okay, let's carry on with this. Feminism proposes that men, and actually we're talking about white men, not black men, so get it out of your head that black men did anything, kept women, and we're talking about white women, not black women. This is what the movement was organized for, about, concerning, from doing something. So feminism proposes that men kept women from doing something, and that something is a whole bunch of things. They keep adding on to what men, blaming men for stuff, which a lot of can actually be explained scientifically, but they don't want to hear that. Okay, they have completely revised history to go along with what they are trying to propose here with feminism. Women couldn't vote. So let's start right off the top. Women couldn't vote. They revised history to say that women could not vote. And actually that was completely false on 2 points. Women could vote. A lot of states couldn't care less if women voted. They didn't see a point in making a law because there wasn't a law against women voting. There was no law. A lot of states had absolutely nothing on the subject. If a woman walked into a precinct and vote for something, nobody was going to step into her way and say, no, you can't do that. Also, women didn't want to vote. The revised history makes it appear that women wanted to vote so badly, but were stopped from from voting. Women didn't want to vote, so it is a complete lie to begin with. Now, why didn't they want to vote? Because it was considered, politics was considered dirty and beneath women. So the revised feminist version of history is that women really wanted to vote. Women adequately, and even some men agreed, that politics is a dirty business, and that a woman, who's supposed to be this classier side of humanity, didn't want to get involved in that. Did not want to get involved in. Not that they were stopped from voting, they did not want to vote. Now, so I'm erasing this revision, this lie that was told. Number 2, could not work. Another lie. The reality is that women had it fantastic, great. They could stay at home, take care of the home and children, and didn't have to work. The revised feminist version of history is that women were forced not to work. And the reality is they didn't want to work. They didn't need to work. They had it great. Husband made enough. Now, they're even revising present day history, like ongoing. They're putting the propaganda out, is that it takes 2 incomes to raise a family today. That is an utter lie. Are there men in this world, in the United States, that make $40,000 a year? Sure. Are there men in this world that make $80,000 a year? Sure. Do you know that it only takes $40,000 a year and everything that goes with it to be middle class? So you don't need 2 people working. And a lot of times 2 people working are going to make even more than $40,000 a year. And the exploitation of what feminism is actually exploiting women to do, which is go to work. That's the whole point, and it was created by men. Corporations, crafty evil man corporation, telling women what to do, and taking these lesbians, putting them in these positions to create this movement called feminism, this modern day. This is the third wave of it, modern day called feminism, to tell them and to put into their brain that, oh, women are stopped from working, when in actuality the entire feminist movement is to put women to work. There, I said it. Number 3, kept out of certain jobs. That's false. The reality is that women are weaker. Period. Scientific, biological. Accept it. There are men who are weaker than other men. Accept it. We accept it. Why can't you accept that you're shorter, lighter weight, weaker, have nearly no upper body strength, almost none? You cannot do certain jobs, period. Such weakness is a burden on productivity. What do I mean by that? If you study economics at all, you know that if you had 20 workers who didn't have to take breaks, had absolutely no in-between time from project to project, your productivity would be up. Now, imagine if you had 10 guys and start introducing women into that workforce. So the guys, let's say they're packing boxes. And let's say the boxes weigh, after packed, 50 pounds. Or 50 to 100 pounds. The guys pack the boxes, seal it up, lift it, and put it on a conveyor belt. And that's all they do. The women are introduced into that workforce, cannot do that. You as an employer, let's say you're not even the manager. Let's say you're in the office and all you show are graphs, which is what a lot of companies do. You come out, you don't come out. You send You send the order to fire A, B, C, D, E, and F. And they're all women. Why? Because they have no productivity compared to everybody else. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, but there is a woman who can lift 50 pounds. I'm sure there are. And there are some men who can lift 50 pounds. And there are some men who cannot lift 50 pounds. But on the whole order, women are bad for such businesses. And they should stop trying to get legislation passed to allow them or force employers to hire them and keep them, that's the point, and keep them hired where they should not be. I'm talking not race, not even gender. You're not capable of doing the job. And they're getting laws passed to keep these women in these positions that they should not be in. They're screwing the employer and screwing American productivity. Our GDP is, of course, based in part on our productivity. What do we produce? If you can lift 100 pounds of cable wire for 8 hours every day, if you cannot, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be doing a job. Women bear the children. It is unfair to an employer, here's another part of it, to take off for 6 months or 2 years in some cases and require him, the employer, to keep that position open for you. That is completely unjust, unfair, and no man gets that treatment. Number 4, women are more nurturing. False, completely false, and what is really laughable about this is that it is ironic. Why is it ironic? There were never any studies done about this nurturing nature of women whatsoever. This idea that women are nurturing is a carryover from the very era that feminists say they hate so much. This is from the time when the women were in the home, taking care of the home, taking care of the children. They're trying to cherry pick that instance and say, see, women took care of the children all of these centuries. Women are more nurturing. We need laws to recognize this and laws to say that automatically the woman, regardless of her crack smoking, of her prostitution, of her child abuse, of her child molestation, of her incest, regardless of all that, automatically she is going to be deemed and judged to be more nurturing than the man. It's ridiculous. It was assumed that era spoke to a reality of women being the hearth keepers. If you understand what the word hearth keeper means, it's somebody who kept the hearth. And the hearth was the central part of the home, which was the fireplace where you did your cooking, where you sat around to get warmth, where you laid by to go to sleep, where you sat around and told stories, where you took care of the home. Women are determined to be hearth keepers from that era. Nowadays, women can't cook, can't clean, can't organize a budget. That's a part of it. The husband didn't do the books. The woman did the books. The husband brought home the money. The woman did the books and handed the books over to the husband completely done, and the husband then went out and paid the bills. Mend clothing. How many of you women listening can mend clothes? That means if your pants bust open at the seam, can you stitch them up or sew them back up? Can you make the pants legs higher, shorter, what have you? Shorter or longer, what have you, as your kid grows into them? Can't sew. and you don't have a passing acquaintance with several topics, including arts, history, and English, which was included in college for the education of women, which is now, by feminist standards, considered sexist to have women in those programs and to have what is it called? Home economics. This is brief, 16 minutes. These revisions then put forth the notion that feminism is needed. Women couldn't vote. Women couldn't work. Women were kept out of certain jobs. Women are more nurturing and therefore need judgments in their favor for child custody. That women have kept the hearth and therefore are more nurturing and more knowledgeable about the home and therefore should be judged to be taken care of in that manner. Alimony and such notions. This is all feminism. I'm going to get later in a later video into why this does not apply, why feminism in general does not apply to black women, because I'm going to bust it wide open. It doesn't apply to black women whatsoever. Thank you for watching the Shakaama live show with your host, Shakaama.